The fact that this isn't even all of them is like actually so terrifying and ridiculous. I can't function right now. Hello everybody, my name is Maura. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm doing a reading wrap up and I think this might be my best one yet, book wise and also quantity of book wise. I read in the month of February 14 books. One of them was an audiobook. There's 29 days in February, so that's crazy, but besides that, I'm filming this on the 27th. If I read 14 books, that's like a new book like every other day. The first book that I read was a 5-star and it was Powerless by Lauren Roberts. I did a reading vlog with this. I forget what the reading vlog was though. Oh, it was reading a page for every time I picked up my phone, if you want to go watch that. But this girl is an ordinary and she's living in a world where the kingdom only wants elites, which are the people with like some sort of power. She's hiding and pretending that she is an elite when she is not because she doesn't want to die. There you go. But the person that does the killing is the boy that she has a love connection with. The whole premise is like, okay, what's he gonna do when he finds out? Because now she's involved in all these trials with him and they have all of these like forced proximity trials that they're involved in together and they're gaining a connection, but she knows that if he finds out that she's an ordinary, that she's gonna die. She's like, well, he can't find out, but we're getting really close and I really like him, so what do I do? I loved this. This is a YA fantasy, and if you have heard me talk about YA fantasies on my channel, they're normally not my thing because it's normally very fairy tale based, and I loved seeing just high stakes tension. I loved it. Like, this was everything I needed. One of my favorite fantasies ever. So Lauren Roberts, Chef's Kiss, you are incredible and I'm obsessed with you and I cannot wait for the next book in this trilogy to come out because this ending, what am I supposed to do with that? I need more right now. Next, I read Britney Spears, her autobiography, The Woman in Me. I wanted to read this for a while, I just never got around to it, and I would see it everywhere in like Target and I'd be like, okay, I'm gonna get it next time, and then I just would never get it. Finally got it and I got it for free. So this, I'm not gonna like rate it because it's somebody's life and that's kind of screwed up for me to like rate her life because we all know that Britney Spears has been through it in the public eye and very misunderstood woman. She's so creative and so smart. It's the same kind of thing that happens with like Paris Hilton, where she puts on this character where she's like this dumb blonde and she's actually like insanely smart, and when people realize that she's actually really smart, they're like, oh, she actually like has a brain. Yeah, actually she does. The same kind of thing with Britney Spears, just kind of talking about like everything in the public that was shown about her where everybody was hating on her or like had misconceptions about something. This book was completely just like, oh, and remember when you said this about me? This is what actually happened. And remember when this happened? Yep, here's all of that information. Here's the stuff you guys didn't know. I really liked this. It was very healing for myself almost, and I just love Britney Spears. I've always loved her. Like when I was a kid, I was always obsessed with Britney Spears for some reason. I don't even think my mom like really played her much. I just like was obsessed with her out of nowhere. I really enjoyed reading this, and I also just think she's incredible. Then I finished so far what is out, I finished the Magnolia Park universe. Very, very heartbreaking. Look at how tabbed up and beautiful these are. Are you kidding me? Love. So I read, finally, Magnolia Park's A Long Way Home, Daisy Hates the Great Undoing, and then of course Into the Dark. So I'm not gonna talk really much about like each individual book. I do remember I gave both of these 4.5, I believe, and then this was a 5-star. In this book here, you get a lot more information, a lot more back and forth, a lot more drama, a lot more heartbreak. Same kind of thing here. Back and forth, what do we do? Who do I want to be with? More heartbreak. This book, very healing. You get a lot of answers, a lot of things that were planted across both Magnolia Park's books, and even a little bit of Daisy Hates, but mostly Magnolia Park's because it's focusing on her point of view and BJ's. Very healing. Like, this book is long. This is her longest so far. I think it's 700 pages. It's a long book. I loved every second of it. Like, I was obsessed. I will always cherish these characters and their story, and just knowing that I have always been a defender, just like, these are my people. I love them so much. I could talk about this series on and on and on forever. I did a full reading vlog actually of me reading Into the Dark, so if you want to see like my real reactions to things, that one is spoiler free. I did do a spoiler video, which I'll talk about that book when it gets here, but this one was spoiler free. Loved it. If you want to see more of my thoughts about that, there you go. Then I finally finished the Twisted series because I'd read book 1 and book 4, Twisted Love and Twisted Lies. So I finally read Twisted Games and Twisted Hate. Twisted Games, I don't know if you can tell because the tabs I picked are kind of light colored. I don't know if you can really see them too much or if it's focusing. I tabbed this one up quite a bit. Twisted Hate got maybe 4 tabs. What I've noticed is Anna Huang's books are very hit or miss for me, and I feel like that's something that a lot of people say, so I don't feel too wrong about saying that. I did not like Twisted Love. Really, really, really liked Twisted Games. I gave this 4 stars. I really like this. This is following Bridget, who's a princess, and her bodyguard Reese. Maybe it's because his name was Reese that I was already like, I love this man. But I loved it. If I'm being honest, I don't remember a whole lot about what happened. What I do remember though is the smut was fire, and I loved. He was fun. Like I felt like he was the one character in this series that wasn't like an awful man. But don't get me wrong, I did give Twisted Lies a 5-star. Twisted Games, 4-star. Like I really liked this. At first I wasn't really hooked. It was moving really slow, but as it went on, I really liked it. Twisted Hate, I did just that. I pretty much hated this. Twisted Love, I gave a 2-star or like a 1 or 2-star. This, I think I gave it a 2-star on Goodreads, and that's really plot wise. Like I enjoyed the FMC's plot, like what was going on in her life and like the drama involved with her. Enjoyed that. This is enemies to lovers, best friend's brother. They were never enemies. Let me tell you that right now. They were never enemies. They never had an issue. They never had something happen that was like, now we're enemies. They like to get on each other's nerves. That is not enemies to lovers, and that made me mad. Also, he's gross. I don't like Josh. He was gross and weird, and if you know that chapter and that page in the 3rd act that I'm talking about, he's gross and I don't like him. Moving on, honestly glad I'm done with that series because I felt like it had been haunting me. I will be reading the like Sinful Kings, King of Sins, whatever that series is called by Anna Huang. I will be reading that. I've heard also mixed things, so I need to find out for myself. But overall, wasn't a huge fan of the Twisted series. I think I gave it like 1 or 2-star, 4-star, 1 or 2-star, 5-star. Very hit or miss. So we'll see what the other series does for me. So far it's not looking too good. We get to the book that I did a spoiler video about, and that was If Only I Had Told Her. I gave this 4 stars, okay? I've seen a lot of people say they didn't like it, and a lot of people say that they thought that Jack's point of view was unnecessary. I highly disagree. I talked very much in detail about that in my spoiler reading vlog, so if you've read this and you want my full thoughts and you want absolutely full spoilers, go to my reading vlog. That is about that, because that's where you're gonna find everything. Right now I'm gonna try to like tone it down for the people that haven't read it. If Only I Had Told Her is very heartbreaking. I cried. This is the first time I've ever cried reading a book. Some people are talking about the characters in a negative way. You have to remember these are children who have never experienced death before, and they have no idea what's going on. You know what I mean? Like the ways that they're grieving and the things that they're saying to each other, they are angry and confused and they're trying to put the blame on somebody. They have never experienced something like this before. Remember that. The writing was great. I understand that like people have been hyping this up so much that they've been putting on certain expectations that maybe weren't exceeded or met. Doesn't mean that this was not still a good book, because I've heard many people say this book was really good, but it let me down because I thought this was gonna happen, and then it's like a bad rating. That's your fault, no one else's. I really enjoyed this. I definitely think it gives a lot of answers that were left open in the first book. Highly recommend reading it. If you're debating on reading it and you liked the first book, 100% go ahead and read this. Gives you answers. That I think it was a 5-star? No. Only because I felt like there were certain things that I wanted more of, but writing wise and character development wise, 100% thought this was a great book. Finally finished the Dreamland Billionaire series. I had already read the fine print last year, but I decided to reread it because I wanted to tab it up and make it all pretty, because I knew I was going to tab up these ones as I read those. The fine print, I love this cover so much. Like, oh my god, I love this cover. I read this a year ago. I gave it like 4 stars, and then right now I gave it 3.5. So it went down a tiny bit. After rereading it, there were a lot of things that were repeated. Same words and like phrases were repeated over and over again, but like not for a reason. It was just like she had forgotten that she had already said it, so she was like, oh, I'm gonna say it again. We know you said it, girl. Love you, but we know you said it. It was good. It just like didn't really do anything for me. Like I'm not gonna sit and I'm not gonna think about Rowan and Zara ever again. Like there are other things that were happening in this book that I was more focused on. I don't know, I liked the plot, I liked the setting of the book. I just feel like if they had talked about each other's feelings, we wouldn't have gone the whole book with them not knowing the other person was into them. Like this was a very like not really mutual pining, because I think they just assumed the other person didn't like them, so they just like were like, oh well, I can't like them because they don't like me. Stupid. Like you are adults. Like act like adults. Then I read Terms and Conditions, the next book. This is following Declan and Iris. I really liked this. I did ranking tropes, and I'd said that I'd never read a book where the characters were forced to marry each other and then fell in love. Here you go. Here's that book. And this was really good. I gave this a 4-star, I believe. In the whole series, these brothers are trying to inherit their grandfather's inheritance. They're trying to get their inheritance is what I'm trying to say. Which is like billions of dollars. Like billions. Like more than 1, 2, 3, more than 10, more than 20. Like these are like really rich guys, like a lot of money. He's trying to get his inheritance, and what his grandfather wants him to do to get his inheritance is to get a wife. He's like, please lock it down, boy. Like, please get a girl. So he ends up fake dating, fake marrying his assistant. And then, of course, with that, real feelings come in. Here's the thing, I really enjoyed it. I liked the setting again. What knocked it down a little bit was the same kind of like third act issue that happened in the fine print, and I was like, why am I reading the same plot again, just with different characters and a different trope? Doesn't make sense to me. Then I finished out the series with Final Offer. Did I give this a 4 or a 5? Because I, like, thinking about this now, I like ate this up, and I feel like I maybe have given this a 5-star, but I think I finished it like late at night, so I don't remember what I rated it. Oh my god, I gave this a 4.5. Okay, so this is following Callahan and Alana. I'm normally not a second chance romance kind of girly, but because this was childhood romance and then they didn't talk for years and years and then like came back together. So Callahan's grandfather, to get his inheritance, he wants him to sell this old house in Lake Wisteria. Like the family's lake house, his grandfather's like, please sell that thing, like get rid of it, sell it. Turns out that his childhood lover now lives there with her daughter, T. My mom's calling me to show me a dog, hang on. I gave this 4.5, it was so close to a 5. I loved the dynamic, I loved the setting, I loved that they had this like shared house with shared memories of their old romance together, and then they split up for his personal reasons that you find out about. She also has this daughter that she's taken in. I love the dynamic between Cal and the daughter. The only thing is, the same thing, like the same third act issue happened in every single book, and I was like, this would have been a 5-star if we could have thought of something different to like do instead. Every single one is just like miscommunication, and I'm like, please, for the love of God, you men are how old? Finally, the last 2 books. Oh my god, wait, I never talked about the audiobook. I'll do that later. I finally finished the Atatar series so far, because there are some more books coming out. So far, I finished Atatar. It feels great to be caught up, let me just say that. Earlier this month, of Court of Frost and Starlight, and I will say a lot of people say that this book is like the worst. I guess technically if you're ranking them, like this is probably gonna be my least favorite as well, but I did give it a 4 star. It is just a cute, fun novella about them like during Christmas time. Like it's fun, it's sweet. My actual Goodreads review was so cute and fun and light for once in this godforsaken, heartbreaking series. That's all you need to know about this one, really. And then finally, yesterday, in a whole day, I finished A Court of Silver Flames. And let me tell you, this is a 5-star, 100%. Actually was considering that this might be my favorite of all of the Atatar books. A Court of Mist and Fury and this one, just because there's so much character development in those and so much you learn about these characters that are supposed to be bad people that you finally realize are just like people with issues like everybody else. I found this book genuinely addicting. Like I could not stop reading it. I was listening to the audiobook until they cut me off, and then I was reading this non-stop. Like the last 400 pages, just speed reading. Could not stop reading. I was just fully immersed in the story, and it felt like the first one in this series that I could really relate to, because Nesta is a very relatable character. She's just the girl that got taken out of her home. Unlike Feyre, like when Feyre left the house and went in and, you know, went into this whole like fairy realm and like was around all of this, she was already like a skilled hunter, so she knew kind of how to take care of herself. Nesta didn't have any of that. Nesta is a book girly. She likes her smut and she likes to sit and read. She's also like this anxious girl, and she is literally me. When she left and had to finally like be this fae that she had no idea what any of that meant, and then she's in this world having to defend herself, she was like, I have no idea what I'm doing. Like this is not what I was cut out for. I was not put here to be doing this like defending and fighting. Like that's not who I am. That's Feyre. Like this is not me. She had to learn how to train with Cassian, and like of course there's romance there and tension and forced proximity. I was just feeling so seen with Nesta's character, and her development was just amazing. Like I think from the start, because I knew everybody hated her, I was kind of looking like, okay, she's gonna get better. Like I 100% know she's gonna get better. I felt very seen by her, and I felt like we were the same person. Was so happy seeing her evolve and just the plot and the characters, and all I have to say is that Sarah J Maas is a mastermind and I adore her, and now I'm starting the Throne of Glass series. Like I'm so excited but also terrified. I loved this so much. I need a book about Azriel right now, like pronto, stat, ASAP, please. Now I do wish that I hadn't forgotten to mention the first book that I finished this month, because it was an audiobook, because I would have loved to say that we finished off the month with a 5-star, which we technically did. Because it was an audiobook, it's not sitting in front of me, I forgot it. But that was All In by Emma Scott. I read Full Tilt December 2022. I think I maybe finished it January 2023. I loved Full Tilt. I think I gave it like 4 stars. What I'm gonna say here is I gave it a 1. And all I'm gonna say is my review says, the only thing I gained from this was a trauma bonded relationship and excessive descriptions of outfits and breathing patterns. Didn't like it. If you know what happens in the first book and then knowing what happens in the second book, I'm like, how are they okay with this? Spoiler alert, actually. Here's a spoiler. Ready? 3, 2, 1. The love of her life dies, and then she falls in love and marries and has kids with his brother. Thank you guys so much for watching. Happy reading. Hope you guys enjoyed. And I will see you guys when I see you.